If you're new to Webextender for the first time, before you go in, there's some preliminary setup you need to do. One of them is to check on pop-up blocking in Microsoft Internet Explorer. Click Tools, click Pop-up Blocker, and see if it says Turn on Pop-up Blocker or Turn off Pop-up Blocker. You want to turn it off. Beware that there are also add-on toolbars such as Yahoo or Google especially, that have their own pop-up blocking utility. So you need to go into those respective toolbars, add-on plugins if you have them, and turn off pop-up blocking, because they will affect Webextender. Okay, the other thing you need to do here in Microsoft Internet Explorer is go to the Internet Options area, click the Security tab, click the Custom Level button, and then come down about a third or quarter of the way right here where it says Download Unsigned ActiveX Controls. It should be set to Prompt and initialize in script ActiveX controls not marked as safe for scripting. That also needs to be set to prompt. And then click OK, and then exit out of that. Okay, once you have, the first time you go into Webextender, you get to this point, you need to go into the configuration area and do a little setup. We have some tabs here, the first tab being Search Results Set. You want to click, check off Display Documents in Separate Pop-up Window. And then, I'm not sure what limit search size, what the default value is, but 1,000 is pretty good to have, so set it to 1,000. Limit Query Results Page Size, that defaults to 10, and you probably want to change that to 100, which is the maximum that Webextender supports per page. And text search options, if it's checked, unselect it. Enable text search, unselect it, because our site does not support optical character recognition, and that's what that entails right there, is what it refers to. So deselect that. So set it to 100, and we'll show you how to navigate large result sets here. I'm going to pick a township that I know has a fair amount of work in it. I'm going to pick 182 West and hit Submit. Now I'm currently set to 100 per page, but we're going to have quite a bit here, and we just got an error, and I'll pull it in so you can see it. Number of records found exceeded search size, and says there were X amount of matches, but only 1,000 matches were returned. Well, that was also the limiting factor here, where we put 1,000. You could increase that if you need to, back in the configuration tab, or the configuration icon up here. Okay, so we have 1,000 items here, and if you want to go to the next 1,000, you take the slider bar and slide across, and you'll notice up here there are some navigation buttons. If you click that one right there, next page, it will page you over to the next 1,000. And if you hit this one, the last one, it'll take you to the very end of the result set. This one here will get you to the beginning of the result set. That one there takes you to the end of the result set. Okay, we're going to talk about the checkboxes you see on the left-hand side when you first enter the query window in Webextender. We'll do a quick query. Put in the section, and we'll go down and hit submit. Okay, the function of the checkboxes is right here in the results area. You get all of the data associated with the results. Each field shows up as a column in the results window. For some people, this may be more data than they really want to look at. And so there is a workaround if you want to look at less. We'll go back to new query. We'll put in our same search criteria. Only this time we'll we'll deselect these checkboxes because it's more than we want to view. Go to the slider and hit submit. And we have a much narrower results list. Oh, a little narrower. But anyway, that's the function of the checkbox in the query, blank query window. Let's talk about saving an image to your hard drive. You've done a query, you have an image on the screen, you'd like to save it. Take your cursor, run it up to the button bar, click on the hand button. Your cursor becomes an arrow. Go to the upper left corner of the image, depress your left mouse button, drag down and across to the lower right corner, let go of the button. Turns green. With your cursor over the green area, depress your right mouse button, click magnify, and it opens up in a new box, but it's distorted. You click edit, then click keep aspect ratio, and then you can go ahead and click file, do a save as, and it will default to TIFF. Go ahead and do that, and it will save, bring up where you want to save it, and you set the destination and say OK. Okay, you have a document on screen and you see an area that you would like to do a blow up. How do you do that? Well, here it is. Initially, when you first look at an image in Webextender, your cursor is a hand, so go up to the hand button on the toolbar, button bar, and click the hand. It deselects the hand so your cursor becomes an arrow. Go to the upper left corner of the area you want to define in your blow up, depress your left mouse button, and it brings up the selection tool. Drag it down to the lower right extent of the area you wish to blow up and let go of the button, and it turns green. Put your cursor over the green area, depress your right mouse button, click magnify, And you have two options, file and edit. Click edit, keep aspect ratio, and click file. You can save as TIFF by default, or you can print. And it will print to your default Windows printing device. Okay, you've done a query, you have received results, and to batch print, all you have to do is go over here to the left hand side where the checkboxes are and check the documents you want to print. Go up to the print selected documents icon, and it'll show up as you mouse across the icon, and click the icon to print to your default printer in Windows. Some of you have asked, how do you find out if a permit has been filed with the PLSO and you want to use Webextender to check it out? Well, if you know you're legal, go to the Township and Range field, put in a legal, put in the section, section always needs wildcards, remember. And we go down to the permit number field and go to the search range icon, click that, and we want to do a greater than. In the value field, put in 0, say OK. So now that expression says, does anything exist as a permit number? Go down to submit, and there are some results. You can scroll across to check it out, and there is the permit field right there, and there are permit numbers for that section, Township and Range. Let's talk a moment about the use of the wildcard. The use of the wildcard is probably perhaps one of the most powerful features of Webextender in queries. There are several fields which it is imperative that you use the wildcard because of the amount of data that's entered per document. Let's talk about those fields. One of them is the section field. Section 4 would be entered thusly, *04*. Keep in mind that sections 1 through 9 require a leading 0. Sections are always 2 placeholders. Another field where the wildcard is needed is the corner field. If we're searching for 825, you'd enter it thusly. And the next and last field is the remarks field. We capture a lot of information in the remarks field, recording numbers and plat names and many other things. If you're going to enter a plat name, you'd enter it thusly. An imaginary plat called Twin Peaks, star, Twin Peaks, star. It could be a recording number, it'd be star, and the recording number, star. Sometimes it's helpful to know that you can even put in a partial recording number. Say you have an old unreadable number, but you can read the first 6 or 7 characters of a 12-character recording number. Go ahead and just put in those numbers. Go star, and the numbers you can read, star, and the county name, and it will search for it'll search for even partial strings. That's the real power. Okay, we're going to talk about using Webextender to search for an auditor file number in a county. There's 39 different counties, and they've done it sometimes in a multitude of ways, and sometimes there's been an evolution, so to speak, of methodology. They've changed from one system to another. We've attempted to capture that, and I think we've done pretty well. I'm going to pick Whatcom County, hit letter W till Whatcom comes in. Currently, in modern day, Whatcom County, we enter the recording number in the page field. So we'll do a quick query, 209-060-283. And we use the page field for Whatcom County. And you'll see that we did get a result. Now, I'll do a new query, and we'll look for an older Whatcom County item, actually a plat. And we'll go into the remarks area because by default we have captured recording numbers in the remarks area. So we'll go star 92847 star and hit submit, and we have gotten another item. It's actually volume 5 of Plats, page 36. By default, PLSO indexes recording numbers in the remarks area, and you need to use the wildcard, so you go star and the number star. As a rule of thumb, I suggest that if you do not get a result when you put a county and a recording number in remarks, try the page field as well. But remember, in the page field you do not need to use the wildcard, but in remarks you do, and the reason being is in the remarks area much information is entered, so you have to do an includes condition, which the wildcard character star gives you. I want to talk for a bit about the advanced features of Webextender queries, namely the search range feature and the search list feature. And in this video I'm going to talk about, as an example, I'm going to pick railroads, how you might possibly search for railroad information in multiple townships and ranges. And so we'll start with the TR field, which is township and range. I'm going to pick 4 simultaneous townships here. So how do you enter multiple township queries? So what we'll use here is the search list feature. So you run over here and you click this search list icon and you add the townships that you're interested in searching. In this case we'll go 21 north, 5 east, and you hit the add button, and 22 6, add 21 7 east, and 21 8 east. And then you click OK, and that feature places the information in the query as it needs to be for multiple township searches. Okay, now we will put in the company or companies, railroad companies that are involved. I'm looking for Great Northern and Northern Pacific and Great Northern Railroad. So again, I'll go over here to the search list feature and I'll put in DNR, which is how we enter Great Northern Railroad. Click add, and I'll also put in NPRR, which is Northern Pacific Railroad, and add. Notice that we don't need to use the wildcards in this case because those are single entries in the field. That field would not normally have a string of company names in any record. It's single object field. Okay, we click OK. So now we have 2 companies and we have multiple townships. And lastly, we probably want to put in, say we're looking for right-of-way information, so in remarks we would put in star r/w star. So we're looking for the right-of-way remark. So we have multiple townships, multiple companies, and the right-of-way designator in remarks. And lastly, let's use the search range feature. So let's go to date and we'll put in the search range condition, and we'll go less than, and say let's pick a date. You want right-of-way information prior to January 1st, 1960. So we put in 1960. January 1st, 1960. Okay, now let's go down and hit submit. And as you can see, we got results, all the townships, and we've got both Northern Pacific Railroad and Great Northern Railroad. And if we go over here to the remarks area, you'll find that every one has a right-of-way item in there, and that's what we did. We put in a right-of-way search item and it found it in each case.